Mold concerns at the Roderick Ireland Courthouse in Springfield. Western Mass News viewers have been reaching out to us, worried about their well-being inside that building. Western Mass News reporter Matt Tilly joins us now live in the studio, getting answers. Matt?
Well, Dave, I spoke with someone who's scheduled for jury duty at the courthouse tomorrow. But after hearing about the new test results revealing dangerous levels of mold, she's concerned about her health and safety. Can she get out of jury duty? We're getting answers for her tonight.
I don't feel safe. I have underlying conditions that could be compromised by going there.
Linda, who requested that her last name be withheld, spoke to Western Mass News ahead of her appearance for jury duty at the Roderick Ireland Courthouse in Springfield on Thursday. This just days after new test results revealed dangerous levels of mold in the building. She tells Western Mass News with asthma-induced mold allergies, she has her doubts about appearing in court.
We're going in there and we're sitting there for 8 hours a day, or if we serve on a trial, several days.
It's something Hampden County Sheriff Nick Kochi is concerned about as well, and why he is no longer sending inmates to the courthouse.
But I find it very hard-pressed that someone's going to tell me that you can stay in that building next to that cancer-causing mold and you'll be fine. We've seen differently over the course of the past many years.
While some court employees are able to work remotely, in-person hearings and jury duty continues. Western Mass News reached out to the state's Office of Jury Commissioner to find out what options prospective jurors like Linda might have. They tell us they've received calls about this from others in recent days. And here's what they're telling people. You can call the state's office at 1-800-THE-JURY with concerns. They add you can postpone your service, be asked to transfer to a different courthouse, or you may be eligible for disqualification. Hopeful news for Linda.
For us that have health conditions, we would like to have a voice.
Also of note, Sheriff Kochi tells us discussions are ongoing on the state level about whether to shut down the courthouse based on the latest test results. Live in studio, Matt Satilli, Western Mass News.
A tenant in a Beckley apartment is struggling with mold throughout her home and is wanting something done about it. 59 News reporter Chris Robertson went inside the apartment to show us more.
Robin Chapman, a tenant of Heritage House, says she's been struggling with mold since last year. The mold is centralized by her window in her living room and not only causing damage to the apartment, but to her personal property as well. She goes into more detail on how the mold is affecting her property.
I've got mold spores all in my apartment, all over my furniture, everywhere. I'm supposed to throw everything away so that, because I'm going to carry mold spore with me, in other words.
Chapman says due to her allergies, she fears for her health and the health of others around her, and wants the owners of the apartments at Woda Cooper Companies to take action.
There's people in here that use oxygen. There's people in here that has allergies. There's people in here that has asthma. And all of that mold can cause conflict, especially, I cannot let my granddaughter in here because she has asthma.
Though the mold in her apartment is still at large, Chapman is hoping to see something done about it soon before it causes problems for the other tenants. Reporting from Beckley, Chris Robertson, 59 News.
So worried about your children's health, you have to move them out of your home. A Charlotte mother says that's what she had to do because of mold. News Channel 36 reporter Tony Burbeck took our mobile newsroom to hear her story, and it is one that all renters can learn from.
Courtney King's baby girl and 2 boys aren't here anymore.
She had a lung infection from inhaling all this moist air.
King is sick too. This doctor's note cites mold growth in her apartment.
It was right here in this corner.
These the before pictures. Initially, King says the apartment told her,
"This is not mold, this is mildew. And there's nothing they can do about it."
It seems there's not much the city can do either. Code enforcement can suspect mold, but can't say it because they don't have the equipment to test for it. They did cite the complex for unsanitary conditions. That led to this, the after pictures. The Greenbrier at Charlotte apartments painted over it, spots still poke through.
This is the mold that's coming through my walls.
King says she told property managers her family was sick.
And they won't let me break my lease. They won't move me to another apartment.
Even though the apartment is damp, dishwasher water won't drain and the smell will make you gag.
It's
not good. If you suspect mold, the doctor's note is leverage to break a lease. It can also help code enforcement relocate you.
That she has mold.
We call the property managers about that. They say they'll try to help King fix the problem and wish she'd given them more time. King says she's complained for months.
It's always next week, and then when next week comes, oh, it's something else.
In Charlotte, Tony Burbeck, News Channel 36.
New this half hour, living with mold. Residents at an apartment complex in Mount Kisco say they have simply had enough.
Yeah, an increasing number of residents are coming forward now with that complaint about the sickness, and now they're taking action. They live in Pinecrest Manor in Mount Kisco. Marcus Solis is live from there tonight. Marcus.
And Phil, residents have been complaining of asthma, other respiratory conditions, headaches, thyroid conditions. They say it cannot be a coincidence. They blame toxic mold. Tanya Cooper has been living out of her car, even though she has an apartment in the Pinecrest Manor complex. Cooper says mold in the walls, carpet, even around her front door is making her sick. She says she couldn't figure out what was wrong until she saw an allergist.
After he did the breathing test and the skin test and all that stuff, he said, "Do you live around mold?" And I said, "No, of course not. My place looks fine. I don't see any mold." He said, "Go back and check again." So she did, and soon found other neighbors in the 70-unit complex with similar complaints.
We were just diagnosed with severe asthma, and I recently had a tumor removed near my right lung.
Residents say shoddy construction and poor drainage have caused leaks and moisture, which has resulted in mold near pipes and under carpets in several units. Air quality tests confirmed the presence of the fungus, which can cause serious health problems. Last night at a heated meeting, management vowed to, quote, fix the problem as quickly as possible.
But it's a very detailed and technical problem. And costly as well.
Michelle Hernandez was put up in a hotel while her kitchen was renovated. New cabinets replacing the old ones that had been streaked with black mold. The lawyer representing a number of residents says these are Band-Aid fixes.
They will come in, paint, try to clean the mold with bleach, and you're addressing the symptom, but you're not addressing the cause of the problem.
And so at least 10 residents have filed lawsuits. Now, many of these apartments are subsidized by HUD through Section 8 housing, and residents are hoping the federal government will step in. We're live in Mount Kisco. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Marcus.
Now the News4JAX I-Team is helping you better understand renters' rights. The most common complaints we receive into our I-Team, they're about mold and maintenance problems.
Investigator Jennifer Waugh is getting you answers about what to do if you have issues with either where you live. We want to warn you, the video you're about to see may be hard to watch.
The mold is everywhere. It's here, it's here.
Trista Wallace says she hasn't been able to use the bathroom in the apartment she rents for months.
It's mold all through there.
She says the mold bothers her the most, even though the sink doesn't work, the plumbing's backed up.
This toilet has been like that for months. Oh, God. Yeah, so it's unlivable. The mold is bad.
The smell is unbearable. And the plumbing's been a problem for how long?
The plumbing's been a problem since I've been here for a year, honestly. But this is just bad. Like, it's unlivable. And this won't go down. Like, why is it turning brown? You know? Flies everywhere. I can't. Move this out of the way. Look, the wall's just caving in. It's bad.
How have you been using the restroom and showering?
So I use a porta potty up the street. I pee in the cup and I take bird baths in my kitchen.
You pee in a cup?
Yes, ma'am. I have no choice. I can't use that. And if I have to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, where can I go?
Wallace says she told the property manager.
So I went up there and I told him I didn't want to cause any trouble. I said, but I can't live in here. The mold, I noticed it was spreading. I asked them if they can do anything. They was like, sure, we'll come look at it. They did inspections and they did look and they looked and they was like, yeah, it's bad. Nobody came in and fixed it. I was like, no, sir, nobody came to fix it.
Frustrated, she says she stopped paying her rent and was then served with an eviction notice. We went to the office to find out what's going on.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Waugh with Channel 4 News. I'm here to talk with someone about the living conditions in Unit 64.
An employee who we're not identifying told us she had no idea about the mold or plumbing problem in Wallace's apartment. She'd only been working here for 3 weeks. We spoke with her manager then on the phone, who says they have no record of any maintenance order in Wallace's unit either. Wallace acknowledges she made a mistake not documenting her complaint, a mistake any tenant should know will make it harder to dispute an eviction in court, especially since under state law, a tenant cannot just stop paying the rent if they're unhappy with the living conditions.
The rules that permit the withholding of rent are contained in different parts of the statute,
And if you don't follow the procedures exactly right, the law might not protect you.
Local attorney Mary DeVries with Jax Area Legal Aid says if you have a mold or maintenance problem, there are specific steps you need to take to be protected under the law. First, you need to document your complaint in writing with the landlord or property manager, send an email or even a text. Next, under Florida law, if you think your living conditions are not safe, call code enforcement. If inspectors find a violation, the owner will be cited and fined if they don't fix it. Once you have both the documented complaint and the code enforcement report, then you have to legally give notice to the landlord of your intent to stop paying rent. And that notice needs to contain very specific information.
The notice needs to identify the issues or the problems with the unit. It needs to advise the landlord that if the repair isn't made in 7 days, they're going to exercise their right to withhold the rent or to terminate the lease. This notice needs to be in writing. It needs to be mailed or hand-delivered to the landlord.
Wallace says she had no idea the legal steps she had to take. Unfortunately, the eviction filed against her will remain on her record unless she disputes it in court. Jacksonville Area Legal Aid does provide free legal advice and can help represent you in court if you're being evicted. They have offices throughout Northeast Florida. The Jacksonville office number is 356-8371. Now, one more thing you should know about mold. Attorney DeVries says the mere presence of it is not considered a code violation under Florida law, which means landlords are not required to fix mold unless you can prove that it's causing you or someone in your home to be sick. You should still call code enforcement to report it. While the city says inspectors are not trained to detect mold, nor are they set up to test for it, mold can be caused by some other problem in the home, a leaky roof or windows, which could be a code violation. Code enforcement can then require a landlord to repair that problem, which could then fix the mold problem. Jennifer Waugh, Channel 4, the local station.
Well, many New York renters are calling 311 to report unsafe conditions due to mold. Rent Hop looking at reports for mold from 2017 through this month. They found that Fordham Heights in the Bronx gets the most mold complaints, averaging about 656 a year. Flatbush is the second moldiest neighborhood, getting almost 500 complaints. And then University Heights, Tremont, and Belmont round out the top 5 there. The study pointed to some possible reasons for the surge of complaints, including Hurricane Ida, hotter springs, and wetter summers.
Growing in the federal building in Aberdeen at a public hearing this morning, the people who work there, along with 2 judges, reported health-related issues consistent with mold exposure. Just last month, new locations of additional mold were discovered. Due to the safety concerns, civil trials will now be in the bankruptcy courthouse in Aberdeen, and criminal trials will be in Oxford. The General Services Administration plans to clean up the building. Judge Sharon Aycock says it's been a 25-year battle, but she is happy to see some progress beginning.